amazing viewers. Thank you so much for joining me on my program once again. I appreciate you wherever you are connecting from. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please kindly subscribe to my channel. Click the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you so much and remain blessed. Whenever you look my video, whenever you watch my video, share the video to all platforms. Share it to family and friends. Share it in your WhatsApp group so that people can get information on what is happening in the contraption called Nigeria, mainly against the Biafrans, against the Duduas, against the indigenous people in the contraption called Nigeria. I try as much as possible to set the record straight. I don't preach hate speech. I don't speak against people. I set the record straight. The only important thing I do here is to make sure that the plight of the people remains on the front burner and the world will know the true story of what is going on in the contraption called Nigeria. Remember, they will always change the narrative. The government will always try as much as possible to use the conventional media to change the narrative, but that I will not allow. In this platform, we'll set the record straight and we'll say it the way it is. Not preaching hate speech, not by talking down to anybody, but setting the record straight and bringing the information to the front burner and letting the world know the exact situation of things. Each time you watch my video, you can equally go to the comment section, put down your comment, say it the way you feel it. It's so welcome. You can criticize if you so desire, but do it constructively so that we can be able to learn from one another. That is why I'm here. And now, I'm going to share with you a very important video. I hope after watching the video from the beginning to the end, you're going to enjoy the video and you continue to stick around and be able to enjoy the rest videos that are going to be coming your way from time to time. Thank you so much for coming. Today, the video I'm going to share with you is a very important video.
All right, we begin our first conversation for today on Kakake, the African Voice, the very first episode in 2022. And we'll be looking at the state of the nation. We'll look at what happened in 2021, how the expectations of Nigerians were met or not met, and then project into the future, 2022, what Nigerians should be expecting. Ayo Okbaduku, the National Secretary, NADECO, that's the National Democratic Coalition, is our guest. Good morning and Happy New Year, Pa Okbaduku.
He looks a bit gloomy.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to see you in the new year.
Wow.
Now we see you smiling.
So you
I wish all of us the best of the 2022 in Jesus' name.
Amen. We say amen to that prayer. So we know you were very critical of activities in 2021, but looking back from your own assessment, would you say that the expectations of Nigerians in terms of safety and security, in terms of economic emancipation, were actually met in 2021? Pa Okbaduku, can you hear us?
Certainly no, and I think that all men of public goodwill.
Pa Okbaduku, can you hear us?
Certainly no, and I think that I believe that men of public goodwill will accept the fact that the Nigeria security is in their state. Accept the fact that the Nigerian state has not been able to meet the expectation of Nigerians. While President Jonathan was in office, we were talking about Boko Haram. The level of insecurity had grown wider and expanded. Bandits, so-called bandits, have taken over. The non-state actors had overrun the Nigeria coercive instruments to the extent that they succeeded, as media had reported severally, of their regular attack on both military and civilian targets. They've attacked military convoy. They've captured many people, many soldiers. They've wounded and killed many, as they have killed civilians. Kidnapping had grown to become a lucrative business in Nigeria. And the sad case of our own situation is that government itself is involved in paying ransom, as poor defenseless Nigerians are paying ransom to the bandits and kidnappers. Yet the Nigerian state, in all these years, they have failed to use available states of ICT, advancement in technology, to be able to capture, to deter kidnappers, bandits from continuing in their dangerous gamble. It is as if they are left to continue their nefarious activities without let or hindrance. I'm not saying that there's a collaboration between some people, either within the Nigerian state or the civilian society, but somewhere, somehow, something is wrong. By act of omission or commission of the Nigerian state, the level of security are deteriorated beyond what is tolerable. And I finally say in that regard that the Nigerian state had not been able to meet its primary objective of providing security for life and property of the ordinary citizen.
All right.
As is expected under the United Nations Organization Charter, as enshrined in the 1948 Charter of the Fundamental Human Rights of the People, as equally set down in the African Charter of People's Rights in the 1998 Charter that was really captured in Addis Ababa. That is the state of the nation, unfortunately, in the negative.
All right, Pai, I'll still stay with you on the state of insecurity, because I know that the presidential New Year address mentioned certain key conversations there. He said the persistent insecurity in certain parts of the country may have threatened to unravel the incremental gains achieved in the real sectors of the economy and in the administration's overall objective to position the nation on an irreversible trajectory. But he said, we assure you that we will remain resolute in our commitment and shall continue to press ahead with our programs and plans. But the question is, I mean, in the absence of security, the overlook and the overview of development and even infrastructural development across the real sectors is very bleak. And one would say short-term results come from intensity, long-term results come from consistency. Do you think that this administration has been consistent, you know, in their outlook, especially looking at dealing with insecurity? So many funds put into insecurity. We have not seen it, you know, in the aftermath and the result that we are looking at the moment.
For all intent and purposes, I know Nigerians are aware that perhaps many people are regretting the unqualified support they gave to General Muhammadu Buhari in 2015, because they thought that as a military general who had demonstrated when he was chief, the general officer commanding the 3rd Marine Commando in Jos, and there was an encroachment on the Nigerian territory by the Cameroonian and the Gendams. General Buhari went on the offensive, not only pushed them back, he dealt massively with them to the extent that it was the Nigerian president and his government, Alhaji Shehu Shagari, that had to order him to stop. and withdraw back to the Nigerian territory. That was what encouraged some of us to go ahead and campaign vigorously for him. In the three major promises that he made to us while he was campaigning, he said he was not going to secure Nigeria, that was going to turn the economy around, and he was going to fight corruption to the tilt. So, concerning the security, as a general, they were making jests. There was the derision of President Jonathan that the crisis of Boko Haram could be finished up in no quick time. That was the promise he made to us. But like I said just a while ago, the crisis of Nigeria insecurity had expanded, it had enlarged, it had become that the non-state actors have become much powerful, much more violent, much more dominant than the Nigerian coercive instrument, Nigerian state coercive instrument. And with that, it's difficult for anybody in his right senses to be talking about the fact that the Nigerian state will be able to do much in the absence of insecurity. You want to go to your work, you are afraid of what will happen to you on the road. Many Nigerian farmers today cannot go to their farms because they could be captured by kidnappers and so-called bandits. The consequence is that we are likely going to have shortage of food on our tables. The fact that Nigerians are not free any longer to travel at their pleasure because they could be captured for ransom. Some of them, many of them are killed, like Olakuri, that the traditional ruler in Ondo State, the first-class traditional ruler. Many people between Kaduna and Abuja have lost their lives to these bandits. Our respected natives in the Middle Belt areas, namely Plateau, Southern Kaduna, inclusive of Adamawa and Taraba states, many of them have lost their life because they were going to their farms. Many times, these ransom people go to the church, they go to the mosque, shoot out, kill. They kill people, they set fire to houses of people, and when they are coming out, they are shot at. So, I do not know of any nation really which ordinarily should gloat at what is happening to us. We are in a desperate situation. Nobody should continue to make Nigeria look like fools any longer. The state of insecurity is unbearable, is unacceptable. We should not continue to wallow in this level of insecurity. No development, no progress can be made when we have this level of insecurity. I just say that whatever President Buhari is talking about does not command respect, much respect, I dare say.
All right, Paul Madoko.
Before the greatest majority of Nigerians, because that the fact that it's not admitting the failure, it's not admitting the failure of the Nigerian state is worrisome.
All right, Paul Madoko, why there are some laws which you have talked about, insecurity, which you said has become very unbearable, and Nigerians actually attest to that. Let's look at whether there were some highs in the 2021, which gave Nigerians a gleam of hope, at least, that kept us moving and resilient up until now. Looking at the president's New Year media message, he did say some things that his administration has done, which he thinks should be commended. The signing of the PIA Act, the PIB, of course, which is expected to bring about positive impact to the oil and gas sector, became an act in 2021 after almost 2 decades of that presentation of the bill to the National Assembly. We saw that bill scale through. And then you have also the president talking about heavy investment and re-equipment of the military. We also were all here to see the Tucano, the Super Tucano aircrafts arrive from the US to help the military fight insurgency. And of course, the president talked about anti-corruption campaign, saying major strides and breakthroughs were also achieved in that regard through the use of technology and forensic in the investigative and prosecutorial procedures. As a statesman who saw these developments and these things to be commended in 2021,
you for reminding us of these tidbits. But I must remind Nigerians, we are supposed to be in a civilized. We are supposed to be a civilized part of the woman community. Signing of PIB, as good as it is, as commendable as it is, I don't believe that that's something that anybody really should really be beating his chest about. It is something that ought to have been done, except for the awkwardness and the perversion of the Nigerian state that had made it impossible. In other parts of the world, natural resources like crude oil are not part of what the country ought to rely upon. I know that in many countries of the world, in Western countries, including America, the American government is not relying upon oil wells. Families, local governments, communities that own them, they're in charge. There's just, they pay tax to central government. So if you are signing PIB document, I do not see that really as something that is so wonderful. I don't know. The second thing you talk about, the aircraft, military aircraft that have been bought, good as it, I believe that is a welcome development. I believe that if we are a country that is living up to its bidding, we ought to have done that maybe some 10, 15 years ago. A country of supposedly of doubtful 200 million population, just buying those kind of overused military aircraft to come and fight bandits in the 21st century, 2022. I believe that we are not doing great justice to our name as a country of this size and magnitude. Unfortunately, might be those of them in government. The Nigerian state does not recognize that we are supposed to be the largest black nation of the world that should provide leadership to the black man. Can you imagine that even our own waterways, up till last year, was being defended? It was Denmark that sent its own people, its navy, to come and deter those who are taking us for a ride, who are really exercising their banditry on our waters at will. Take a fish at will, do so many other things against the Nigerian state. So I understood and I was aware that at some period before the close of 2021, there was some exercises for some foreign countries by the Nigerian Navy. But I believe that was to have overgrown that. The Nigerian state, as a matter of fact, should rise up. We should grow faster than we are. The remaining time that is remaining for President Buhari, I believe that he should do some justice to his name and reputation by trying to advance the cause of human development. And he cannot do that successfully until he admits that the current national structure is a warped, skewed, lopsided structure that makes the Nigerian system unworkable. That the Nigerian state, our constitutional governance, must return to a federal system of government upon which Nigeria secured its independence. The ethnic nationalities are spoken sufficiently loud enough, credible enough, that we secured Nigeria independence on a federal constitutional governance because we are an heterogeneous society with over 350, 400 ethnic nationalities with their different languages, religions, artifacts, culture, folklores, morals, but we are supposedly to be coordinating at the center. President Buhari must recognize that we must return to that constitution because it guaranteed us equity. It guaranteed to every ethnic nationality equity, justice, fairness, defense, and protection of the rule of law. By the act of insurrection of the Nigerian Army on January 15, 1966, the centralization and the unitarization of the Nigerian state had occasioned injustice, unfairness, inequity, and disrespect, total disregard for the rule of law. We must return to the base upon which Nigeria secured its independence. And it guaranteed us palpable, evidentially proved progress and development in the First Republic. That is what we must return. It not until the army usurped the political power for their selfish, inordinate interests. We were growing and we were an envy of the world, nay, the Commonwealth. The kind of progress that we Nigeria witnessed in the First Republic had not been matched since the advent of the military. The army was not in a position at all to be telling Nigerians that the civilians were behaving badly. They were taking 10%. They have turned out to be worse mercenaries than the civilians they overthrew.
All right. Well said. I mean, you have come from history and given us a backgrounding on that. Just to buttress what you have said, we have listened, and I have listened, emphatically to a lot of your conversations in the public space. You have once said that politicians since 1999 at both the federal and state levels have not shown significant respect for democratic principles and tenets. And you also went ahead to say that Nigeria is still being ruled by military men masquerading as politicians even after over 22 years of the return of democracy. I bring this to bear because right now we're looking at the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, which the National Assembly is supposedly going to look at the return of the youth tide. from their break, 18th of January. What do you think should be priority as they return when looking at that bill? And do you also have a modicum of courage that that bill will be passed by the president?
Very much. Well, we people like us will not stop talking truth, speaking truth to power, because we lost our sweat, we lost our blood, we lost our possession, we lost our liberty. Some of us were even martyred for the current experiment that is being messed up by the so-called politicians. The truth of the matter is that when you are talking about electoral matter, what they are doing with electoral act and the likes, I consider those things as trivia. It is a fallout of the centralization and the unitarization of the Nigerian state. That is unacceptable. And it is based on a document they consider to be Nigerian Constitution, which we consider to be a forgery. Because even though the so-called 1999 constitutions that was brought into existence by Decree 24 of 1999 said at its preamble that we, the people, the promoters know that that constitution was not written by us. So what you are talking about when they ask us to be contributing as to whether or not so-called electoral act will be signed or will not be signed, you are asking us to accept as fait accompli the grievous atrocities, illegalities, treasonable acts which the Nigerian army had foisted upon us, and to just say we should be building something on nothing. People like us will not subscribe to that. We believe that it is time for the Nigerian people to brace up with the act of asking the necessary question from the current rulers. When did it become? Has the military ever asked a carpenter to go and drive an armored car? Can we ask a dressmaker, a tailor, to go and conduct surgery on a patient? Who taught the military the act of politics? It is not their field. They use the coercive instrument of the state to capture power for their own selfish, inordinate ambition, and they've used that same power to retain what they have taken by force permanently. So they are not in a position to teach us politics. That's why the parastatals they've been setting up since Babangida politics and remain just mere political parastatals. I don't know the difference between either APC or PDP, unless you can show me the difference between 6 or half of a dozen. If whatever atrocity you have committed in one, if you can just join the one in power now, then your sins are forgiven. Go and sin no more. That's the nature of the situation. And because politics is the banditry and religion are the most lucrative businesses in town, some of our people are willing to play politics at all costs. But those of us who are activists, but who God used to play significant roles in the emergence of the current setting, we must speak out. Nigeria state cannot develop as long as this current system remains, and it cannot remain.
All right, Pa.
That is the truth of the matter.
Pa Okpaduku, as valid as your points are, many Nigerians also believe that reworking the constitution as it sees today, which the constitution review, which is currently ongoing, which we also believe may happen in this 2022, may be concluded by National Assembly, may be able to deal with some of the issues you're raising, because if some of the good aspects of the constitutions are are implemented, Nigeria may well be a good place to live in. Now, we're looking forward to the 2023 election, and all the politicking will begin this 2022, and the electoral amendment bill must be passed into law for that election to be considered to be credible, because of some of the good issues that have been raised from the public hearings before that electoral bill was concluded by the National Assembly. But now the president has declined assent to that bill, and we are waiting for the National Assembly to do the needful when it resumes from recess. The president, even with reservations that he has with the budget, went ahead to sign the appropriation bill, believing that it will help to build the economy, which he knows this is the only year he has full implementation of the budget in his administration. Do you think he should have also gone ahead to sign that electoral amendment bill, and then also go ahead with some of the amendments that he's talking about when it comes to the issue of primaries, elections, direct primary election, which was a part of the clause he's quarreling about? Do you think he should have gone ahead to sign that bill and then also bring about some of the issues he's raising at the end of the day?
So sometimes I'm amused, and sometimes I'm disturbed at the level of the understanding of even you, the purveyors of information, who should educate, who should inform, who should entertain Nigerians, that you are subscribing to the superficiality of what is being presented. Look, what you are asking us to do is that Nigerians should really forget the fact that the structure, the superstructure of the Nigerian state, which the military had built, is taken as having been given. And that superstructure is not only faulty, not only destructive of the existence, mutual coexistence of the Nigerian state, you are asking us to go and build something upon it. It will not happen. It cannot stand. The composition of the National Assembly itself is skewed, is warped, is lopsided. The creation of states, the creation of local governments was just at the whims and caprices of the military strong men. They loaded those balkanization of Nigeria to suit the fancies of their concubines, their girlfriends, their friends, their colleagues, their superiors. It suited them. And you want us to accept that.
All right,
Let me give you an example. Look at what they have done. In 1960, there were four political divisions in Lagos.
Absolutely.
There were 2 political divisions in Kano. Out of that Kano, a gigawatt state had been created. That gigawatt state now has 27 local governments. Kano now has 44 local governments. Lagos, that was double that of Kano in 1960, That's 20 local government, just 20 local governments in the Nigerian constitution. And that, on the basis of that, representations are made into the National Assembly.
All right.
How do you think that Lagos will be treated? For example, Lagos has been crying loud that at the former federal, the seat of federal power, a lot of resources are needed to maintain the infrastructure left behind, because every Nigeria wants to be in Lagos. That matter cannot be raised.
All right, thank you so much, Pa Ayo Okpadokun, who is the National Secretary, National Democratic Coalition, NADECO, which coordinated the struggle to end military rule in Nigeria at the time. Thank you so much for joining us. Very salient reviews and also very insightful. And I'm sure it's an ongoing conversation and we'll continue to take the rounds from different perspectives.
An ongoing conversation indeed. He has always maintained his stand about this constitution, and nothing else matters until that constitution is, redone according to Pa Okpadoko. We thank you very much for your time right here on Kakake, the African Voice, discussing the state of the nation.
Thank you so much for your patience to watch from the beginning to the end. I hope you have learned something from the video you have just watched. The video you have just watched is to bring information to your doorstep and for educational purpose. It is not to demonize anybody. Let us watch continuously and see who can be able to make a sense out of every nonsense we are seeing. We must continue. We move. It doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter what they say. They will kill us. We will kill them. At the end of the day, Biafra is here. Thank you for watching. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please kindly subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell so that you're notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you and remain blessed. Bye-bye. See you again.